welcome to episode 11 of the Diego Colley Football Show. Got a good episode today. Going to talk quickly about the dud of the Monday Night Football 2 games that we had to watch on Monday, and then get into week 5, college football weekend slate, clean up some other stuff just around the country. But yeah, we'll start with Monday Night Football. And I don't like 2 Monday Night Football games, I got to say. I'm just not a fan. I think that if you are to do two, you should do the model that they did a few weeks ago, and it was a game starts at 4, game starts at 7. But having 2 games, like the whole point of Monday Night Football is you want to be able to watch one good game, and they were both bad games to be fair. But you shouldn't. It just kind of decreases the intrigue. I mean, the games both sucked, but just in general, I'm a fan of one game, and if you're gonna do two, you gotta stack them back to back, not at the same time. But these games sucked, quite frankly. These games were awful. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but Jets at the Dolphins. This was the first game, and the Jets, the Jets are horrible. It's weird because I picked them to win. I was wrong both these games, but I thought that maybe last week would have built some momentum for the Jets. They would have came out playing strong, and to be fair, they did. They give them a touchdown drive to the Dolphins, and the next drive, the Jets are running the ball down the Dolphins' throats, and it's like they threw the ball like one time on the drive, and they're about to punch it in, and Braylon Allen gets the ball punched out at the 1 yard line. That can't happen if you're the Jets. You're supposed to be a hard-nosed team. You got to play. Aaron Glenn wants these guys to play hard and clean up the penalties, and that's just not what we're seeing. It's just this was some of the most hard to watch offense from the Jets and from the Bengals later. That it was painful every time the Jets had the ball. It was like gross. I mean, Justin Fields only 20 for 27, 226 yards, 1 touchdown. But if you watch the game, it was just horrible. The Jets had 13 penalties for 101 yards. Just so many stupid procedural penalties. Just blowing up drives for a team that not much big play threat. The Fields is way too. It's just he's too passive in my opinion. I get you don't want to throw interceptions or turn the ball over, but you're a guy that's getting the chance to be a starting quarterback, and he drops back and just consistently throwing a check down, throwing it away, just running for barely anything. It's just uninspiring. It's really uninspiring. He ran the ball 7 times for 81 yards, but this on the box score, he looks like he played a decent game. But if you watch the game, it's like this guy's not an NFL caliber starting quarterback. This is how he's going to play the game. Not at all. Breece Hall had a solid game, 14 for 81. Braylon Allen, I think he got hurt after that fumble. But just ugly for the Jets. And on the Dolphins side, I mean, good for them. They get a win. Got on the board. A-Chain, 20 carries for 99 yards. Their ability to run the ball, what's a big difference? Usually it's A-Chain a lot in the reception game. He only had 1 reception for 2 yards in this game on 2 targets. I think that's good. You're running back. It's great to be a receiving back, but you have to be able to run the football, and that's what he did in this game. Good for Tua, 17 to 25, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I want to get a shout to Darren Waller, dude. He was retired for 2 years, making bad rap music, and comes back 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions in his first game. Good for him. It was weird to see him out there. You Moss's Sauce Gardner on that first touchdown. That kind of set the tone for the game for the Jets. They were never really in this game. The box score on the scoreboard shows it as a closer game. After that fumble, is like I don't think the Jets have the explosiveness to come back from down multi-scores, which they didn't. Got to talk about Tyreek Hill. So that was one of the more gruesome injuries I think I've ever seen. I wasn't watching live, and saw like a bunch of tweets. Tyreek Hill, oh my god, that was gross. And I just went and watched back the broadcast. Like I went back like 20 seconds because I just missed it. And oh my god, like it was gruesome. It was absolutely gruesome. I still haven't watched the slow motion. I do not want to see the slow motion, but that was bad. And then he's like cheering as he goes off the field. Just a weird scene. Really weird scene. Sucks for him, but just a really weird situation, a weird, ugly situation that he should have got out of Miami when he could. I know they didn't want to trade him, but just unfortunate for him. That was pretty gruesome. Dislocated knee, torn as many ligaments as he did. That was bad. But yeah, the Jets, I don't know if they're gonna win a football game. We got the Cowboys, Broncos, Panthers, maybe the Panthers in the next 3 weeks. But just watching this team is hard. I think they executed better when Tyrod was that quarterback. At least they had more of a structure. With Fields, it's like I'm gonna run around and then maybe get a first down. try to make something happen, but it's not really going to happen. And then if you just look at the season as a whole, that first week was a really inspiring week 1 loss. And then they get embarrassed to the Bills, whatever. And they almost have an insane comeback to the Buccaneers. They arguably could have won the game, but I put it as the defense as well. But and then just a disappointing game. This was a winnable game. It's the Dolphins team that is beatable, and they didn't. It was pretty ugly. Oh, on the in an overall sense, I mean, Olufashanu looks good on the O-line. Armand Membu looking like one of the best picks of the whole year. It's like a cornerstone right tackle. Like that's a bright spot. The run game looked good. Mason Taylor looked good. Like that's a few rookies that looked pretty solid. But I mean, yeah, Fashanu obviously the first round pick last year. So your 2 cornerstone tackles are looking good, and your running back looks good. But Breece Hall's not going to be there for the long term. Your tight end you drafted looks good. Like there's a few bright spots, but just in the overall scheme of things, like the defense is not good at all. Just, I mean, not great because you got a defensive head coach, and this is a defense that's been good in the last few years, but it's just not. Sauce Gardner plays pretty poorly overall. Grades out of the 52. I'm looking at his grades from the overall season. I mean, week 1 he played well at a 90, 69 in week 2, 36 last week, 52 this week. Just not good at all overall. You got to feel bad for a guy like Quinnen Williams. He played fantastic game. Graded out as a 90 on defense, 90.1 run defense, 66 in the pass rush. But this team only generated 13 pressures, 0 sacks. And I mean, shout out to the Miami defense. They were all over New York. 26 pressures, only 2 sacks, but they were getting after Fields all day. It feels like Fields was never genuinely comfortable. But I mean, yeah, just an awful game to watch. And we'll get into the next one. Bengals at Broncos. After talking about a horrible game, this was a by far worse game. And I got to say I was wrong. I thought that Browning would settle in, and he didn't. But this Bengals O-line is one of the worst starting lines that I've ever seen trotted out on a football field. The Broncos are rushing 4 and getting an insane amount of pass rush. Like, they're rushing 4 and getting to the quarterback in like 1 second. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand how your construction of your roster can be so bad. I think Zach Taylor should be out. I think the Bengals GM should be out. Joe Burrow, this is just showing that Joe Burrow, how many flaws he covers up with this team. Like, he makes them look like a competent football team every week, going back to the last 2 seasons. And when he's not there, we've seen anytime he can't play, it's just an absolute dumpster fire. It's like no other quarterback in the league would even be okay with this offensive line and situation around him. The offense is just stagnant. Zach Taylor can't really get his guys the ball. It is ugly. I mean, there's an early point in the game when they have a chance to go up, score the first touchdown in the game, and it's 3rd and 2, and they throw a fade to T. Higgins, then they decide to kick a field goal. You're a 7-point underdog on the road, dude. Just like you need 2 yards from the 5-yard line. After they kicked that, I was just like a bit disappointed, and like at that point, I didn't think they had a chance to win the game. You watch the rest of the first half, and there's just nothing there. They tried to target Riley Moss a little bit. I thought he played pretty decent defense. I mean, T. Higgins had a few catches early in the game, but other than that, he's pretty much shut down. And the Bengals defense is bad. Like, this is a horrible roster aside from 3 players. They can't establish a run game with Chase Brown. These guys can't do anything. It's just got to be disappointed if you're a Cincinnati fan, because you knew this going into the season that you have to keep Joe Burrow up. And he goes down in week 2, might be for the whole year. At this point, I don't see a reason you bring him back later in the year unless you're able to claw out some wins. They struggle to run the ball again. Chase Brown, 10 carries for 40 yards. Jake Browning, 14 to 25. Like, I mean, I think they should go try to get Jameis or someone, but I don't know how much it's going to change, like, in all honesty, because they still can't block. At least Jameis is going to throw the ball. I mean, he might throw 20 picks, but he's going to throw some touchdowns. Like, T. Higgins, 3 for 32. Ja'Marr Chase, 5 for 23 on 8 targets. It's just awful. Just awful, awful, awful. I got to give a little shout out to Bo Nix. I've been a pretty critical Bo Nix hater, but he played a good game, 29 to 42, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns. That touchdown pass he had to Cortland Sutton before the end of the half, that was a great pass. Threw it on a rope. I thought Sean Payton called a really good football game. Bo Nix graded out well, too. It reflected, graded out as a 79, which, I mean, vast improvement. I'm looking at his PFF grades for the whole year. 40 in week 1, 48 week 2, 57 week 3. Like, he played a good game this week. Played about an 80. That's very above average So, I mean, you gotta give it up to him. Broncos O-line held him up well. He didn't get sacked once. We'll take a look at the pressure numbers here. But, I mean, they only had 12 pressures, zero sacks. It's impressive. On the Bengals side, 17 pressures, 4 sacks. I mean, it felt worse, but also they didn't run that many plays. I mean, 17 pressures on 25 dropbacks, that's pretty awful. But yeah, the Bengals they have no pulse. They have no pulse. I mean, they started off 2-0, and I don't know when they win another game, to be honest. Lions, Packers, Steelers, and they face the Jets, so maybe they go into that Jets game and both of them looking for a win, but I think if they want any chance to win, they need a guy that's gonna throw the ball on the field. I like Jake Browning, but this isn't I think he's a solid backup in the league. I mean, honestly, I thought he was, but this isn't the situation that he needs to be in. I think he'd be a great backup in like for Kevin O'Connell, for Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay even. Just running a good offense, but not here where the quarterback has to be the star of the show. I mean, at least if you get Jameis back there, you know he's gonna chuck the ball. He's gonna throw the ball to his guys. But that's all I got for Monday Night Football. Just a absolutely ugly thing to watch, in all honesty. On a Thursday night, and we got the San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams, and this 49ers team is one of the most injured teams I can even remember in recent memory, dude. We get the news today that Brock Purdy's going to be out. Ricky Pearsall is going to be out. I believe Jawan Jennings is going to be out as well. It's inexplicable, to be honest. And a Rams team who going into the season, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure the Rams can stay healthy. That's their older team. How's Stafford going to do? And Rob Havenstein's doubtful. Tyler Higbee's doubtful. But other than that, this is a pretty helpful team. And then I go and look at the 49ers injury report, and it's just insanely long. I have a tough time. Before going into this game, it was like, okay, if Purdy can play well, which that's a big if, they can maybe hang. I trust Kyle Shanahan to call a good game, but you got Mac Jones out there, who I will give it to Mac Jones. He played well in his 2 starts, but he doesn't have Ricky Pearsall to throw it to. He doesn't have Jawan Jennings to throw it to. He's going to be going to MVS and Kendrick Bourne. I think this is gonna be a massacre. And the Rams are a team that they don't really play with their food. Like, they're gonna execute. They dominated the Titans after a little bit of a slow start. You're not gonna slow down Puka Nacua, and if you do slow down Puka Nacua, you're not gonna slow down Devontae Adams if you dedicate all your time to Puka. So this is a really great Rams offense, and Sean McVay, he's not gonna take a division game lightly either. Like, they know obviously going into this, they're playing a banged up team, but he's not going to go into a division game like, oh, we're going to play with our food. I think they're going to go out and dominate the 49ers. And it's unfortunate for 49ers fans, I guess. I don't really care, but the injury bug always sucks. You got to say that. The injury bug always sucks, because this would be probably a more fun game. It should be a divisional battle. And now I don't see a way that the 49ers win this football game. I don't see them being able to get any pass rush. I don't see them. I don't know how they're going to move on the field. CMC's going to touch the ball like 40 times. Like, he's probably going to have 10 targets and like 25. That's their only way of winning this game. But yeah, that's all I got there. I'm taking the Rams to win this game, and probably one of the easiest pick of the week there. Up next, we'll go to London, and then we'll go to the Seahawks game. London game, Minnesota versus Cleveland, and we got Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel getting his first career start in London. A little bit of an interesting situation, in my opinion, because you're sending this rookie out there against a Brian Flores defense. Brian Flores is licking his chops. He's going to bring pressure on Dillon Gabriel all day. And in London, like, it's not a traditional week. It's not a traditional first start. Not even a traditional game week for it. They're traveling all across the country. Who knows how many true practices they're going to get in, and playing a hard defense to play against, a blitzing defense. I mean, I don't really, it was time. I definitely agree it was time, but I guess it just was. I think it was time for Joe Flacco to be done, but I don't know about this situation. You could have waited until Pittsburgh next week, Dolphins in 2 weeks, because I don't really know how much 2 weeks is going to change anything in your opinion or Dillon Gabriel's readiness. But interesting timing. That's all I thought. And Do they trade Joe Flacco? Is Joe Flacco going to be the backup? Is Shedeur going to be the backup? I think if you're going young, you might as well make Shedeur the backup. Shedeur had that weird thing in the locker room. I don't know why he's speaking to the media every time. It just shows what kind of a weird, awful, poorly run franchise the Cleveland Browns are. You know it's going to be a circus. Like, why you don't open them up to media conversations? I don't know if anyone can be talked to in the locker room, but I feel like on an organization like the Seahawks, another greatly run organization, they're not letting their third string quarterback become the talk of the media every week, which is what the Browns are doing. Like, and what's Shador supposed to say? Like, he did some weird stuff where he's not talking. He's like miming, like he's just like fake talking. But why? What is he supposed to say? Yeah, I think I should be starting. Whatever he says is going to be a story. I think it's stupid. But I think this is a rough start for Dillon Gabriel. I think the Vikings are going to dominate him on defense. The Browns defense is very good though, so that's going to keep him in this game at least for a little bit. They can force a few turnovers on Wentz, like we saw last week with Pittsburgh. But I think overall, it's just a brutal start for Gabriel. Hopefully he gets the ball to Judy. Hopefully he can use his legs a little bit because Flacco in that pocket is a statue. He's just taking hits constantly. So I mean, I hope he plays well, but I'm more interested if they should they ever give Shedeur a chance. I hope they elevate him to the backup. So if something does happen, he's the one that's in the game. But I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if you make Joe Flacco the emergency quarterback. We'll have to wait for that officially to come out in the future. But I'm taking the Vikings in a rather simple pick just based on the rookie quarterback factor. Up next, we'll go Seahawks week 5, hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-1 versus 3-1. And this is a game where before the season, Seahawks were like 1 or 2 point underdogs, I believe. Now they're all the way up to 3.5 point favorites. And I think that's partially to do with the good team that Seattle is that a lot of people weren't expecting, and the injury situation that the Buccaneers are dealing with. We were talking about the 49ers, how that's pretty bad, but the Buccaneers, man, Mike Evans not going to play. Bucky Irving announced this morning, doesn't seem to be like he's going to play. He has a foot sprain. They said he's week to week, which doesn't. He's listed as questionable, but I don't think he's going to go. Greg Gaines is doubtful. He's questionable on the thing for this week's game as well. That's the defensive tackle. This team couldn't even practice yesterday. Yesterday was supposed to have a full practice, and Todd Bowles had to move it to a walkthrough because he said, I think we have more people that weren't going to practice than people that were. So that's generally really unfortunate for them. That's generally a good sign for the Seahawks, I think, going in this game because they are healthy. They are coming off kind of that half bye week because of the Thursday night game. And it seems like it's going to be a return of Nicky Minwari after he played, I think 10 snaps in his NFL debut. Devin Witherspoon looks like he's going to play. Julian Love, Josh Jones will probably be active, but this is a good test for the Seahawks because while you aren't seeing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at full strength, this is still a Bucs team that they're going to compete with you in every game, and this is arguably probably the highest powered offense they've seen so far. Not even arguably, it is the highest powered offense, even not at full strength. Baker Mayfield's going to be one of the best quarterbacks you've seen all year. Mike McDonald said today in his press conference, he said that by like one of their metrics or standards, Baker Mayfield is he's the best quarterback in the league at extending plays and making stuff happen. But also his ability to play on time. He's one of the best guys at playing on time in the entire league right now, he said. And yeah, by far the best quarterback you've played so far this year after you've played Purdy, Rodgers, Rattler, and Kyler Murray. So this will be a good test for the Seahawks defense going up against not like an inferior quarterback you're going to get after. We're going to blitz him. Baker Mayfield handles the blitz well. This is the guy you're going to have to wrap up because if you miss your sack on him, if you're bringing pressure, he's going to make a big play out of something that should have been a would-be sack, something that should have been a nothing. He's able to turn those plays into some of the biggest plays. Emeka Egbuka, the rookie receiver, he's coming back to Washington. Of course, he's from Washington, went to Steilacoom High School. He's going to be a threat on the outside. That's going to be a good test for whoever's guarding him. Chris Godwin, even though he is older age, it's going to be a good test at receiver. So this is definitely the best overall offense. And even without Bucky Irving, this is a good rushing attack. Rachaad White, great receiving back in their system usually, but he's able to take a heavy load of the carries. He's done it before, obviously, as Bucky got here last year. they've kind of diminished to more of a 50-50. Bucky's taken over, maybe a 60-40, 70-30, but he's fine carrying the workload. It's not like you're facing a Trey Benson in this situation, the guy that's not necessarily never been an RB1 in a week before. So this will be it's going to be a really good test. And on the Buccaneers defensive side, they got some dogs, man. I got to give a shout out to Jacob Parrish, the rookie cornerback that was drafted this year. He has been great. He has been very great. He plays slot corner, rated as an 89 last week against Philly. Vita Vea, obviously in the middle, stuffing up the run game. I'm interested to see how the Seahawks run the ball this week, quite frankly, because after a bad start in San Francisco, they run the ball well against Pittsburgh. The last 2 weeks, the identity of this offense is supposed to be the run game, hasn't really been super fantastic. If we're being honest, Sam Darnold, I think, has been he's been running this offense really well. He's been throwing the ball very well. He's been pushing the ball downfield very well to JSN. But what they thought their identity was going to be, which is the run game, hasn't really been as high powered as we'd expect it to be or hope it to be. So this is going to be a good test. I mean, Vita Vea is not an easy guy to push around. It's going to be a big test for the interior line, which is probably the weak spot of the line. Jalen Sundell at center, right guard Anthony Bradford, who had a rough week last week against Arizona, and obviously the rookie Gray Zabel on the left. It's a big guy to move. So this Todd Bowles defense, it's definitely going to be a test for the Clint Kubiak offense. I mean, they 20 pressures last week for 2 sacks in Philadelphia, and they ate up the Philadelphia running game. They held Saquon Barkley to, I think it was under 50 yards rushing. I don't know when the last time that happened was. I don't know when the last time their Philadelphia run game was stuff like that, but they did it. So it's a weird game for the Seahawks because going for me underdogs, I think this is more of a 50-50 game. To be in 3.5-point favorites at home, being expected to win this game, it's a big jump up for the national perception of the Seahawks. And if they win this game, it's a big game to win because Tampa Bay has shown that they aren't, no matter whether they're healthy or not, this is not a team that's going to just roll over when they don't have injuries. If Baker Mayfield is quarterbacking this team, they are going to hang around. They're going to have a chance in every game. There's definitely going to be, this is a game I think that's going to come down to a few big plays. Like, can they get off the field on third down? Can the offense convert an important 3rd and 5, an important 3rd and 3? If they get to a 3rd or 4th and 1, what are they going to do? If I don't see the tush push in this game, the AJ Barner tush push in this game, I'm going to be pretty frustrated. I don't care if they get it or not. If you get to a 4th and 1, and it's under a yard and it's a real 4th and 1, if you're not running that, like, you're just making something so much harder on yourself than it needs to be. So I think that they need to be able to run the ball this game because this isn't a game that they're going to be. Todd Bowles isn't giving up huge long plays down the field. I mean, it can happen, but they balled up AJ Brown last week, and that does partially have to do with the Eagles' weird inability to get involved in the offense. But still, this is a gritty defense, a gritty offense. That's how I describe both sides of the ball. It's going to be a tough test for the Hawks, but just based off pure health, I'm going to take the Seahawks in this game. So I'm taking Seattle. I think we pull it out towards the end. I just think the defense and the amount of guys that we have healthy compared to their weapons on offense. Emeka's the only guy that really scares me. No, Bucky's huge for the Seahawks, but I'm taking us to win this game. Up next, we'll go to the morning slate. Vegas at Indianapolis. The circus of the Las Vegas Raiders just seems to continue. Geno Smith, it's ugly, and people all around the nation are starting to see how ugly it is and be like, man, this is what was Vegas doing? Vegas was praised for making this move, for bringing in Geno Smith, and now people are starting to be like, should they move on from him? Fans want to move on from him, and rightfully so. He's been really bad. Max Crosby has been elite. He had 5 pressures on his own last week, had an interception, graded out as a 91 on PFF. But I'm interested to see how the Indianapolis Colts respond after last week's loss, to be honest, because yes, no one expected the Colts to be good, and then they give the Rams a big fight, but are you going to prove, yes, we're a good team, we're going to come out and blow out a bad team that we should win, they're 7-point favorites at home, or are you going to let them hang around a little bit? And I'm interested to see how Shane Steichen calls this game on offense. A.D. Mitchell is going to get some revenge for the abomination that was last week, fumbling the ball in the back of the end zone. I'm curious. And on the Vegas side, this is a team that I criticized them in the trenches before last week's game because I thought they got pushed around in the game against the Commanders on both sides of the ball. And they proved me wrong. They stuffed DeAndre Swift. They stuffed the Bears run game. And on their side of the ball, Ashton Jeanty had his best game as a pro. So if you're a Bears fan, you want to see Ashton Jeanty continue to have success. That's what you want to see on offense. You do not want to see your rookie running back, who's what pick was he? 4, 5, 6. He was pick number 6. You want to see him look like he's future one of the best running backs in the league and show that as a rookie. So if they can continue to move the ball on the ground, stuff the run game on the defense, if they can shut down Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to be very impressed with this Raiders defense. But just with what we've seen from Geno at this point, from the quarterback position, his inability to take care of the ball. These aren't like interceptions either where it's a good throw, a little bit unlucky. He's forcing the ball into so many bad situations, which is it's just been pretty bad, like overall. It's not like he doesn't really have the talent at receiver either than he did in Seattle at all. They got to get Brock Bowers more involved too. Like it's just they have to get Brock Bowers involved because this isn't. They quite frankly, it's not like they should. They have to. This isn't a wide receiver room that is like filled with studs. If plenty of guys get the ball to, I think Trey Tucker's their leading receiver. Jacoby Myers at 258, but Trey Tucker has 224. Brock Bowers does have 225 yards, but it just seems like he's not having a huge impact on the game like I think he should. I mean, he has no touchdown. Trey Tucker has 4 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers has 0 touchdowns. So Trey Tucker's catching every touchdown ball for Vegas. They got to do better getting Myers and Bowers the ball in important situations because I feel like he does have a big long catch at the beginning of games, but he's not like the game breaker at tight end that they want him to be, and a lot of people think he can be. So I'm taking the Colts to bounce back, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas can build on that success they had in the trenches last week. If they can keep this game close for a while and keep Jeanty going on the ground and make this not an easy win for Indianapolis. Up next, we have the Giants at the Saints. And I got to say, this is probably the most winnable game for either of these teams that they'll have for a while, to be honest. Giants coming off of the first win of the season, Jackson Dart debut. I saw some people being critical of Jackson Dart. And I mean, he's a rookie in his first start. They got to win. I don't really understand that. I thought he showed grit. I thought the game plan Dable had around him was good, using his legs a lot, taking a lot of the pressure off his arm. Obviously, unfortunate because his number one receiver goes down in the first half. So he didn't have like a reliable guy to go to. It's going to be a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson. Him and Scotty were just like a fun backfield, though. Dude, they're a really fun backfield. It's fun to watch. It's something entertaining for Giants fans instead of having Russell Wilson out there just checking the ball down and like attempting to throw the ball deep downfield and throwing interceptions. So this is a big spot for the Saints, dude, because Spencer Rattler, a guy who's never won as a starter, I don't know if he's going to have another chance for a while. He's got the Patriots next week, so maybe that one. Bears, Bucks, Rams, Panthers on November 9th. There's maybe a shot there, but a very winnable game for both teams. A battle of two of the worst teams in the league. And I don't even know where to lean in this game. I feel like I want to say the Giants are going to win the game, but on an overall sense, the Saints have played well-rounded football every week except the Seahawks week. They've had a chance to win every game except the game against the Seahawks. And the Giants, I don't know where they're going to be with Dart. I think a little bit of, not the magic, but I mean, you're going to get banged up in the NFL running the ball that many times. He's running up the middle, too. Dable's running a lot of powers up the middle. He's keeping the ball. The quarterback draws. That's what he scores for a touchdown on. He graded out poorly, but, I mean, they got to win, okay? Like, that's a little bit harsh. I'm going to take the Saints in this game. I think they deserve a win. I don't know if that necessarily means they get it, but I think no neighbors really hurts the Giants offense because there's literally no threat. I don't have anyone that Wan'Dale Robinson's a pretty solid slot receiver, but who is Dart going to be throwing the ball to? Jalen Hyatt played 30 snaps last week, 52 graded out on PFF. Bo Collins played 21 snaps, 54 grade. I don't know who's going to catch many passes. Theo Johnson, the tight end, could, but I think the Saints, they have more weapons on offense. I mean, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. Give me the Saints. Give me Spencer Rattler to get his first win as a starter. Up next, we got Dallas at the Jets. The Jets. So we talked about the Jets earlier in this episode. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys has had two of the most electric games of the entire season so far. The Giants win in overtime and then 2 overtime games too. and then the Packers tie at home, and they put up points. And I don't see the Jets being able to put up any points. They put up points in week 1 against the Steelers, and that just seems like a total fluke. I don't see how this offense stays out of its own way, to be honest. I don't see how Justin Fields can push the ball down the field effectively. And I will give it to Dallas. I don't know if the grades necessarily reflect this, but I thought they covered the downfield ball pretty decent. I think a majority of their success, of Green Bay's success on offense, early in the game, they did have that deep play downfield to Golden, but a majority of it was checking it down. Love making the right read. Nothing's open too deep downfield. Checking it down to Jacobs. Jacobs makes a few man miss, gets a first down. Like I feel like he checked the ball down a lot, and that grade Trayvon Diggs graded out really well, 83.3. Jadeveon Clowney only 23 snaps out of 72. James Houston at 89, and that's good for them. They need some guys. One pressure for Clowney, 2 for Houston. They need some guys that come in with some pressures, and they had 25 in the game, but only 1 sack on Jordan Love. Kaiir Elam at a 62. It's just an average game from him. Deron Bland played a pretty rough game. Graded out as a 51. But if the Cowboys can't win this game, this is real bad. Because if you fall to 1-3, obviously Jerry Jones still has playoff aspirations. No matter how bad the roster is or how realistic that is, he still does. And you're in a situation where you got the Jets this week and the Panthers next week. That's 2 winnable games to get to 3-2-1, which just sounds weird, but you can get your season back on track. George Pickens was a major bright spot last week, in my opinion. If you can keep using him, and then when CD comes back, be able to use them both effectively. I feel like in the first 2 weeks of the season, I was pounding the table. Why is George Pickens not getting to throwing the ball more? Why is he not more effective? So they finally unlocked that. So let's see if they can keep it going, keep it unlocked, get Jalen Tolbert the ball in space, get Devontae Turpin the ball in space. Give Dak keeps playing at a great level, graded out an 84 last week, played a pretty great game, in my opinion. But I'm taking Dallas. Dallas has to win this game. Up next, Denver at Philadelphia. Talked about Denver earlier in the episode. Bo Nix surprised me last week, and he's got a lot on his hands this week in Philly, playing a really good defense. This is not the Bengals defense. This is not the Bengals train wreck of a team overall and defense. And for Jalen Hurts, this is not an easy test for the Eagles offense either, because they just continue to struggle to get their receivers involved. And last week, on an overall sense, they didn't really get anyone involved. And they somehow squeaked out the win. That goes to show the special teams, the clutch interception Jahad Campbell had in the red zone off Baker when they had a chance to tie the game, the block punt to start the game. That's how you know that's how good teams win games. When the offense isn't really fully clicking, they win in the other 2 phases. But AJ Brown has his 1 week against the Rams, and then he just completely disappears again. Like I don't get it. And this is not going to be an easy test. You have Patrick Surtain, who's probably going to be on him, and Riley Moss, who's going to be on Devontae Smith. Riley Moss held his ground last week against T. Higgins. I thought so. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. If we're being honest, I think that the Eagles do pull this game out, get the win here. But I need to see them get the pass game more involved. I just don't quite. It's just weird to watch this Eagles offense, because all the stars are there and they just continue to play like they're just trying to control the game and win the game barely, and not blow teams out, not get explosive plays down the field. It's like they just want to slowly move their way down the field. And I don't know. It's going to be a defensive battle. I think definitely low scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if Bo Nix throws a few interceptions this week. Let's see if he can continue on his hot train, though. I mean, he had played a rough first 3 weeks of the season. Bounces back against a bad Bengals team. Can he keep it up? Can he push the ball down the field to Courtland Sutton? I like when they get Courtland Sutton involved. When they get Courtland Sutton involved, these teams get the offense better. Him, Troy Franklin. There's guys for Bo to throw to. And something that I didn't say earlier is I thought the use of RJ Harvey was really good last week. I thought they finally, with a rookie running back, it's weird because running back's one position you kind of throw a guy into the fire. And it had been the Dobbins show more in the first few weeks, but it was kind of finally more of a get both these guys involved. RJ Harvey, 14 carries, 58 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 16 for 101. I like when both are being able to be used, because you need to run Dobbins 25 times. Harvey gives you more of that explosiveness. He checks in the receiving end too. 4 receptions for 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Marvin Mims, 6 receptions for 69 yards. This was a explosive Broncos offense that Sean Payton called last week, and I'm interested to see if he can keep it going against a quality defense. So I'm gonna take the Eagles, but if Bo Nix proves me wrong this week, I will maybe start to turn my tide on how I feel about it. All right, next game, ugly matchup: Miami Dolphins at Carolina Panthers. And I don't know. This is one of those teams I don't really know what to do with the Panthers. I thought that they made a turn to point, turn to corner, and then they come out and lay an egg against the New England Patriots last week in a game that I definitely thought that they could have competed in. It's a bad Patriots defense. They don't show up. So on to this matchup, I don't know what to do with them. They showed up at home in their last game against the Falcons, and then they get embarrassed on the road. Probably the most embarrassing loss of the year, to be honest. And I mean, that's saying something. They've had a few ugly losses against Bryce Young is playing bad against a bad Patriots defense. And on the Miami side, maybe a bit of momentum. I mean, you lose Tyreek Hill, but you never want to wish injuries upon anyone. But maybe having that whole circus gone is a good thing. I mean, obviously, I'm not happy he got injured. It's not a good thing at all. I mean, it's awful for him. But to have that, it was just week in and week out. It was just, especially as things were going worse. Starting the season, it was ugly, and they finally established the run game a little with A-Chain last week. And it'll be cool to see if Jalen Waddle can progress into a true RB1 coming up. That's one of the things I'm excited to see. How Jalen Waddle, can he be an alpha receiver in an offense? I'm not sure if he can, but that'll be interesting. Can Darren Waller build off a big week one? He only played 16 snaps with 2 touchdowns, 16 snaps. That's pretty damn good. But yeah, this is a weird one. And I don't know if I'd say it's a narrative game, but if the Dolphins can win a game, get to 2-3, they're not in the worst spot in the whole world. They go from having the season from the dumps to they play the Chargers, play the Browns. Like the Chargers are going to be a tough game, but the Browns is a winnable game. The Saints later in the season, they can scrap a few wins out there. Maybe be one of those teams that can compete. I mean, they did hang around with the Bills in that one game, seldom that Tua interception that kind of just killed them. They got the Falcons too, the Ravens with playing Cooper Rush potentially, so they can kind of start to go on the rise or up. So just based on what I saw last week, I can't pick Bryce Young in this game. I can't. He has not shown me anything besides one game against the Falcons where his defense made a lot of good plays against Penix. That shows me that he is the franchise quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. So I'm taking the Dolphins. Up next, speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans at Baltimore Ravens. And things have gone from bad to worse for the Ravens as Lamar Jackson is seemingly going to miss this game and a few more weeks. And you're looking at Cooper Rush starting for the Ravens. And I talked about it last episode. I said, this just seems like bad management from the Ravens staff. Why is Cooper Rush your backup? What did Cooper Rush show in Dallas that said he should be the Ravens backup this year? It doesn't really make sense to me. Because this is a completely different offense. Like a completely different offense that has to be called for Cooper Rush. It's not like it's like the Joe Burrow situation where awful situation, but you're throwing Jake Browning in there and you're like, hey, do everything Joe did, please. You physically can't. Todd Monken is going to have to throw out the whole play sheet that you've used the whole season. You can use like 20 of those plays that you could hold for Lamar. No threat of the legs. It just completely changes like so many things. And the Ravens don't have an alpha receiver. A lot of it is built off of the quick RPOs, the Lamar making a decision. So how are they going to function in this game? I don't see it. I do not see it at all. On the Texans side, it was the Titans, but they get a win. Good for the Houston Texans. And now they're in a position where a few weeks ago, I was like, they got to win this game against the Titans, and they got a tough game against the Ravens, no matter what. And now you're playing Cooper Rush. D'Amico Ryans going to get after Cooper Rush, an elite Texans defense. You got to be feeling good if you're a Texans fan. The Texans should win this game. If they lose this game, this is a bad loss for Houston. Facing a backup quarterback, facing this depleted Ravens defense that has been pretty darn bad all year. This is a game the Texans have to win. So I'm taking the Texans in this game, and no, Lamar is just the Ravens are a disaster team this year. Every year there's a team that just kind of gets hit by some injuries and some bad timing, underperforms in the early of the season, and might be a lost season. And that's what we're looking at for Baltimore. Next 10, I'm taking Houston in that game if that wasn't clear. Tennessee, Arizona, another team that is just I almost feel bad watching is the Tennessee Titans right now. It's really hard to watch Cam Ward and the rest of the team is just like old guys who got sent to the Titans, maybe probably like the last contract of their career, if we're being honest. And like Tyler Lockett out there on like this is just an awful team. Quandre Diggs playing defense. Love Quandre Diggs, but it's just not. It should not be a starting safety. Draymond Jones, like the list goes on and on. Tyler Lockett. It is pretty bad. And on the Cardinals side, look at their running back situation, dude. Trey Benson, Schefter tweets this morning or Wednesday morning that he banged his knee in the end of the game. It's not expected to be serious. 30 minutes later, he put him on the IR. So you're looking at Amari DiMercado and Michael Carter to be the running backs for the Cardinals. I don't know. I don't know how that run game's going to look. It already wasn't great, and that's not a running back problem. I think it's the way the line has been blocking has not been great. But I want to see Marvin Harrison Jr. take a step. He had that awful, embarrassing moment in the first half of the Seahawks game, but he bounced back that second half, and he made a few plays, made that nice touchdown grab over Devin Witherspoon, and their semblance of a run game is very, very low right now. He needs to, if there's ever a time for him to make that step and being a true wide receiver one, he needs to do it now. This is the time. It's a perfect spot against this Titans team that's quite awful. Give me the Cardinals in that game. Up next, another ugly game. Detroit at Cincy, and this one could get out of hand fast. There's nothing that Jake Browning showed me. We talked about the game already. Don't need to spend too much time on this one. There's nothing that Jake Browning showed me in Monday night's game that makes me think that they can even do anything that is like competing while this is how they're running the team. Like nothing at all. Aiden Hutchinson's going to destroy this Bengals O-line. There's no run game. He's doing everything. And with the dominant Detroit Lions that we've seen the last few weeks, I just think this is another absolutely dominating win. I mean, they won by a lot against the Browns. They ended up running away with it towards the end. That was a pretty decent Browns defense. This defense is not good either. This is going to be bad. Give me the Lions to win by whatever the spread is. Give me them to cover. This is going to be a blowout win. I'm going to be quite frankly shocked if the Bengals can score more than the 2 touchdowns. Prove me wrong, Jake. Up next, we got the Washington Commanders at the LA Chargers. Chargers coming off their first loss of the year, a disappointing loss, and I think we're going to get Jaden Daniels back. Let me check the report. Looks like I think we are. And they need that. They absolutely need that. It's a tough spot because obviously you're not expecting to win every game. If you have a backup quarterback going in, you have to kind of expect your expectation can't be as high. But when you lose to a Falcons team like that, I'd be more disappointed in the defense maybe because it's a Falcons team that got shut out against the Panthers. And obviously they changed a lot of things. I think a lot of the positives were on the Falcons offensive side, but you still got to be disappointed going into that game, coming out of that game if you're the Commanders that give up 34 points to a team that got blanked by the Carolina Panthers the week before. But having Jane Daniels back will be a difference maker, and it's a big vibe switch. They need that. They need that. And this is a game that this is a big game for the Washington Commanders. If we're being honest, they got the Chargers, Bears, Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks coming up, and the Lions after that. Like that's a bit of a gauntlet. And you start to fall behind. That Bears game is no gimme. You lose this one, the Cowboys are going to give you a run for their money. That offense is going to score points. Chiefs, Seahawks, like this could get kind of bad for the Commanders if they don't win some of these 50-50 games, in my opinion. And this is a high-powered Chargers offense that inexplicably got shut down a little bit last week in New York. Again, the rookie quarterback gave them the spark. The offense wasn't quite what it needed to be, and they lose Joe Alt to the knee injury, which is not good for them. But he's not going to go. Mekhi Becton's questionable. Derwin James questionable. If you're a Chargers fan, that's not that you're not feeling good. But what you are feeling good about is the Omarion Hampton performance you saw last week. If Omarion Hampton can prove that he is be a reliable number 1 running back, like I think he can be. I think he's shown that Took him a few weeks to settle in, but that performance last week's encouraging. Those receivers are encouraging. And if you can run the ball, have some success running the ball against this Washington defense, as Bijan did last week, some explosive runs. You can stretch him down the field. Penix hit a few deep shots. See the deep shot to London down the field. He's throwing confident balls to Kyle Pitts. I think you feel pretty good about this game for the Chargers. So just with the defense also played good last week against the Giants. I'm taking the Chargers this week. It's a bounce back win. It's a bounce back win. Up next, Sunday night game. This is a fun game. New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills. I think this is a sneaky spot for the Patriots. I mean, I may eat my words on this one, but I think that it's a bit of a trap game for Buffalo, if I'm being honest. 7.5-point favorites. You are at home, Sunday Night Football, but this Patriots offense looked impressive last week. I was very impressed with the whole offense as a whole, to be honest. I mean, not a whole lot of volume in the run game, but Ramondre 9 for 38, Trayvon Henderson 7 for 32, 29 for 104. I mean, not the greatest, but Stephon Diggs 6 for 101, Hunter Henry 2 for 39. And they didn't have to do much. I mean, Drake May threw the ball 17 times, completed 14 for 2 touchdowns, 203 yards, 42 points. They were out early, but just the efficiency, I think the offense looked pretty good all around all year, and the defense finally showed up a little bit. Hold the Panthers to 13 points, and just a well-rounded defensive effort from these guys. And I think this is a Bills team that's they've been flirting with a loss for a little bit. And every team can't win out, obviously, but if you're just looking at the last few weeks, the Dolphins, they had a drive to go down and score, going into the red zone. Tua throws a bad pick. The Saints, Rattler misses Brandon Cooks on a touchdown pass, end up kicking 3. Bills score on the first play the next time, or they scored a long touchdown. I think this is a close game. Like, quite honestly, I do. And I think that teams have showed they can score points on the Bills defense. It's not like the Bills are biggest shutdown defense of all time, like stifling offenses. I don't think they have. And Drake May, I think, has played pretty darn good all year. I'm going to check out his grades to see if they reflect that. But just based on watching, I think he's played some pretty good football. Yeah, I mean, grades out at a 76 last week. Had a bad week in week 3 with those turnovers, but 83 in week 2, 70 in week 1. Like, he's played some pretty good all-around football. And the emergence of Stephon Diggs last week gives him that reliable number one guy that he can go to the ball to in big situations and trust. So, am I going to pick the Patriots to win? I think I just talked myself into it. I'm giving the Patriots to win this game. And we'll go to Monday Night Football now. KC at Jacksonville. This is a big turning point game for the Chiefs, I think, because obviously you obviously have the rough start, 0-2, underwhelming against the Giants, and Xavier Worthy comes back and he changes your entire offense. It completely changes everything that was going bad in weeks 1 through 3. And you're getting Rashid Rice back in a few weeks, and you're facing the Jaguars team that has quietly been one of the biggest surprises in football all season, and very quietly beat the Panthers in week 1. Obviously, you have that disappointing loss in week 2 against the Bengals, and ugly game against the Texans. That game's more about the Texans, how bad they looked, and then kind of sneakily beat the 49ers. You got Liam Cohn showing some fight after the game with Robert Saleh. You got to love that. And the way they're winning games, too, I think is kind of more impressive. It's not that Liam Cohn came over and was going to have this nice offense, firepower, and the weapons haven't necessarily lived up to the hype yet, and they haven't really got fully clicking. T.Law hasn't got clicking yet, but they're fighting for their head coach, man. This defense is fighting for their head coach, and they're winning close games that they're winning close games at the end. I mean, obviously the Bengals game, they lose a few plays from that game in the other direction, but Texans game was a gritty game. They forced a fumble on Nico Collins. 49ers team, they forced 4 turnovers on that offense. Like, they're fighting for their head coach. I think you got to love to see that. And the passing game isn't necessarily fully there, but the run game is. And you got to love the ETN 19 for 124 last week. If that can continue, that's a dangerous team you don't want to play in. A Monday Night Football game, I don't know how rocking it gets in Jacksonville, but I think if it's ever going to be rocking there, this would be a time for a 3-1 Jaguars hosting the Chiefs. For that technically was a little bit disappointing. This is a primetime atmosphere, but just the pure fact of I can't get over how explosive this Chiefs offense looked last week. I really can't. I was very impressed, and I was kind of happy to see because I'd just been waiting for Worthy to get back. Everyone's like, "Are the Chiefs dead?" You can't. I didn't think you could make any any assumptions or any decisions, final decisions about the Chiefs offense until you saw at least with Xavier Worthy. And I mean, it was everything I expected. Mahomes is efficient, player of the week, 4 touchdowns. So for that reason, I'm taking the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, it's some good games, some duds that looks to be out there, but hopefully I think they all end up showing up. And there's some interesting narrative games that I'm excited to revisit on Monday's show, but there's some fun college games, so let's talk about those now. On the college side of things, I got to say I'm excited to watch college football on Saturday. I've been on the road the last 2 weekends at the Husky games, had a great time, but it's kind of like I was at those games. Obviously, I'm a little disconnected from what's going on around the nation, and those aren't the most important games in the whole retrospective. Everyone else in the country, obviously, it's the most important game to me, but there's some good games I'm excited to watch this week. I mean, and I'm gonna start with game day. Vandy at Bama, and I gotta say I'm very happy that Bama won last week for the pure fact that the juice it brings to this game is so much higher. Before the season, I was looking at this game. I was like, I hope that this is a decent one because Diego Pavia is fun. I mean, he's fun. He's fun to watch. You got to say that. And obviously, the most disappointing loss that Alabama's had in so long was in that game last year. And he, the Vanderbilt is sitting at undefeated at ranked 18 in the nation, I believe. They knock off South Carolina in that dominating win. No sellers, but still a dominant win. And Alabama, obviously, that early disappointing loss to Florida State, and they've bounced back and they're up to number 10 in the country. They just beat Georgia in Georgia's house. That's a pretty darn impressive win. I gotta say, the offense looked better. The offense more in tune. Ty Simpson looked good. Like this was kind of what people wanted to see. Ryan Grubb, I thought, called a great game on offense, and the juice is there for this game. And you got Pavia talking his talk. He said I don't think he said it wasn't going to be close if they play the way they want to play. So a 16 versus 10 Vanderbilt versus Alabama matchup is you don't even think that the last time they played ranked, I believe, was like in the 60s. It was a long time ago, the stat I saw. So I'm pumped for this game, and it might not live up to the hype, and Bama might steamroll them, but just to see if Pavia if they can bring some juice out of the jump, and I think that's the key. They got to start fast. If you fall behind in Tuscaloosa, it's going to be a long day for you. But if they can get a few of those big swinging plays, those trick plays, maybe a few long explosives, it can get quiet in Bryant-Denny real quick, I think. And I'm excited to watch it. I got to say, I am very excited to watch that game. On another one is Miami at Florida State. Florida State obviously has that very, very disappointing loss last week to Virginia. Virginia storms the field. Crazy field storm, fun game. But you got Miami coming into your house, so they got the home field advantage. And this is a big, big game for Florida State because they can show, losses happen, upsets happen. You're on the road, Friday night game, weird. Stuff got weird. Some fluky plays go in Virginia's direction. But Florida State's been playing hard-nosed football, and that's how they beat Alabama. And then they play East Texas A&M, Kent State, lose to Virginia. This is going to be a battle in the trenches. And if Mike Norvell can have his team ready to play these guys in the trenches, I think this is going to be a really, really fun back-and-forth game. I honestly do. I think it can be a lot closer than maybe people think it is. Obviously, you're looking at number 3 Miami. They won very convincing wins over multiple teams this year. Beat Florida. They beat the Notre Dame win. Like, they have looked like by far one of the top 5 best teams in the country. And if Florida State wins last week, it's a bit of a higher hyped game. But I don't think obviously in-state rivalry, I think it's going to be fun. And if Tommy Castellanos can bring that juice, use his legs for those big plays, if they can maybe force a few Carson back turnovers, get the home crowd into the game, I think it can be a fun down to the wire finish. So that's another game I'm really excited to watch. And lastly I'll talk about the Husky game a little later in a second, but Texas, Florida. This is a sneaky Texas going to play the Gators. And I think this is a sneaky little trap game for Sarkisian and Arch, because this is Arch's next big test. He flunked the first test in Ohio State week 1. And he had a few games, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, where it wasn't like, oh yeah, this is the Arch Manning. Like it was pretty unconvincing, if we're being honest. So this is his next big test, another road game, and the Swamp's going to be rocking. I mean, we know Florida's 1-3, but that team has athletes on defense. They do. And the South Florida loss is disappointing, but you lose to South Florida, then you lose to the number 3 team and the number 4 team in the country. Like in the LSU game, the defense played great. They forced a lot of turnovers on us. So I don't think that I mean, they're not obviously not like a upper echelon team in the SEC, but this team is better than their record states, in my opinion. So, and I think the key is the defense. If you can rattle Arch, force a few turnovers, anything can happen in an SEC game. This is the SEC we're talking about. And you get the home crowd into the game. As I've said in both of these games, if the home crowd gets into it, who knows? And this is one of the, like, I don't know if I'd say I feel more confident, but I think this one's going to be a close game. I don't see, with what I've seen from Arch Manning, them having the ability to blow the brakes off Florida. I just don't see that explosiveness against a good defense. So if Arch proves me wrong, that'd be awesome. But I haven't seen that from him. And they've got the Red River rivalry coming up next week versus number 5 Oklahoma team in the country. Like, let me see it, Arch. I will gladly be proved wrong, but I'm waiting. So lastly, we'll talk about the Huskies. I'm a little scared for this Husky game, I gotta say. Going to Maryland, Jedd Fisch has won one road game as a Husky coach, and it was the Wazoo game. So not really a long trip, like an hour plane ride. And this is a road game in the Big Ten, going across the country, 12:30 kickoff, where 12:30 Pacific, so 3:30 over there, I guess. But they got a stud freshman quarterback, Malik Washington, who's played pretty great so far this year. And just like, I can't get the taste of last year out of my mouth when it comes to the Huskies right now. Like, it kind of not embarrassing, but just poor big play calling in the Ohio State game. Obviously, number 1 team in the country. Like, talking about the game again, like, I'm not disappointed in the loss. If you told me we're going to lose number 2 in the country, I'm not going to be like, yeah, you're dumb. Like, oh, I'm so bummed about that. It was a bummy loss, but just some of the execution, just the way it looks on the screen, that's what more frustrated me. And like seeing the 3rd down, the 4th down play calling, like I do not want to get in a situation in this game where we leave the red zone with no points multiple times, which happened last year. If you know that Rutgers game last year on Friday night, just gave me nightmares. It was like they dominated the game and just like left empty-handed so many times. Like, I want to see good 3rd and short, good 4th and short play calling. I want to be aggressive. You have the athletes to be aggressive. I want to get the receivers involved there. I thought Desmond Roebuck was a huge bright spot last week, stepping up in that receiver room. And I mean, I just think I want to see us push the ball on the field. They didn't really there was no play in the Ohio State game where I was like, oh my God, he's going deep. And yeah, you got to give props to Ohio State. I thought Matt Patricia did a great job with that game plan. They neutralized Damon's legs for the most part. That 3rd and goal where that guy plays a great spy just on the line of scrimmage. Damon tries to escape. He probably scores on most of the teams we play in our schedule in that play, but that's probably a 5-star middle linebacker that's playing in that game. He's not as good of an athlete, but he's a comparable athlete. I want to see him take shots. They're better than this team. I don't want to see him play with their food. I want to see him be aggressive on offense. I just want to see him be aggressive, but smart aggression. Don't be stupid. Like, you don't need to make dumb decisions like run a fake field goal. Be aggressive when it's right. Like, don't be too there's got to be a happy medium. And Damon's been efficient, but I'm fine with you taking some shots, dude. I mean, he's at like one of the highest completion percentages in the country. He was 18-22 last week. Like, 75% completion percentage is insane. 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm not saying I want him to be Jameis Winston out there, but you're like, take some shots, dude. Like, this is the time to start doing it. You've got some tough games on your schedule coming up. You got Michigan, Illinois. Take some shots. Throw it to Denzel. Give him the ball down the field against a good team. Because obviously, like, we've seen him take some deep shots in those first 3 games of the season, but I want to see it against a quality opponent. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see Jedd Fisch call a good game, especially when it gets down to the red zone. The crowd's going to be hostile at the beginning of the game, obviously. Silence the crowd. Like, cover the 7-point spread. Don't make this a sweaty game on the road, because I don't want to see what happens if we get into a need one play for the game and Jedd call. I don't want to see what has to happen in this game. Not now. Eventually, we're going to have to see it, but this is not what I want to see. I want to see you win convincing. I want to see the offense look impressive. But that's it overall. I think I would say arguably more excited for the college football slate on Saturday than Sunday. I mean, obviously you can't compare to NFL Sundays, but there's some intriguing matchups, and I hope some of them most of them will live up to the hype. Hopefully all of them. But thanks for listening to the show. That's gonna do it for today. Appreciate you for listening. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, give it a download. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you so much.